In the animal kingdom, there are two types of creatures: those we fear for personal reasons and those we should fear no matter what. Anacondas would fall into this second category, and we can all agree on the reasons why. These powerful beasts of nature can wipe out the life of a grown man in a matter of minutes, and their lethality is so certain and frightening that, in most cases, the only way to get rid of their attacks is to end their lives. To show you the strength and magnitude of these creatures, today we are going to present to you 6 giant anaconda attacks captured on video. In each of them, you'll be able to discover that these aren't just words, and if you dare to stay until the end, we promise you'll unlock a new fear. 6 giant anaconda attacks captured on video. Number 6. Night attack. Camping is often a beautiful activity. Being in contact with nature nourishes the spirit. Clear skies with their stars offer an unbeatable view, and the nights spent camping leave memories that last for a lifetime. Undoubtedly, camping is fantastic, as long as you know how to choose the right place. Because when you make a mistake, situations like the one experienced by this group of friends might happen. A group of young people decided to camp in the middle of the jungle overnight. Because what could go wrong, right? They will be able to see nature at its purest, and one of them had a camera to document their experience. Unfortunately, everything turned into a terrifying scene when the giant anaconda, which was as long as a ladder and of intense yellowish color, crawled up to them in the middle of the night. At first, no one noticed it, but when the beast managed to coil around the body of one of the members of the group, everything became really creepy. The anaconda was squeezing its victim without the rest of the group being able to do anything but watch and record the scene. According to the information recorded by the cameraman, his friend didn't make it home that night. Number 5. The fight in the water. There are two types of ideas: absurd ones and terrible ones, but the one committed by the following man is terrible and absurd. A video posted on social networks shows a scene that none of us would want to be in. It's about 2 men jumping out of their rafts to hunt a giant anaconda. The reason why they did it is unknown. Some believe it was a matter of life and death. Others assume it was reckless action done by 2 people who have little regard for their lives. Still, regardless of the reason, the images are chilling. At first glance, one can perceive the colossal size of this anaconda. Its body is so thick and elongated that it could be 3 times the size of these men, but it quickly shows us that its size is nothing compared to its rage. When one of the men tries to capture it, the anaconda twists in unimaginable ways and wraps itself around anything it can, including the leg and arms of its hunter. Seconds later, the anaconda begins to curl around the subject's waist and legs. From this point on, the scene is truly hair-raising. His partner pounces on the anaconda and tries to separate it from the areas where it is coiled, but the efforts hardly show any results. The anaconda has a destructive force and staggers the 2 men. Fortunately, at the end of the struggle, they both manage to escape back to their raft. Number 4. The cage fight. In Brazil, anacondas are one of those creatures with which a tense coexistence is maintained, since anacondas tend to burst into daily life to cause all kinds of havoc and tragedies in different provinces of this country. For this reason, it isn't unusual for the inhabitants of these areas to contact the police or even the army forces to help someone in distress. Such is the case of a patrol that came to the aid of a victim of a giant anaconda attack. The beast far outnumbered any other specimen the authorities had seen. They decided to go ahead and capture it at any cost. Immediately, the team was able to help the victim and get him to safety, but that didn't stop the anaconda from continuing to try to find new prey. About 5 adult males keep fighting this anaconda in an unwinnable battle. Every time one of the men gained a slight advantage, his neighbor was in serious trouble. In the video, you can see the anaconda's ability to fight everyone at the same time. For a moment, it is wrapping itself around the arm or leg of one of the officers. Then it shakes its body to avoid being pushed into the cage, and, almost at the end, it goes so far as to drive its powerful bite into the arm of another man. It took the help of 4 people to pry open the jaws and free the bleeding arm of this brave officer. In the end, the team managed to reduce the anaconda and place it in a cage, although no one knows what the fate of this restless beast of nature was. Number 3. Neighbors in trouble. Living in a community means being attentive to helping your neighbors when they need it most, and in Brazil, they have this principle very much in mind, especially when it comes to giant anacondas. In a town near the Amazon, a group of neighbors got together to stop the attacks of a creature that's worthy of a nightmare. This anaconda was thick, dark-skinned, and slippery, as long as a fireman's hose, and relentless when it came to attacking its enemies. As soon as the group approached it, they were immediately greeted by a savage attack from this creature. Its strong and swift movements surprised most, and it even managed to knock down a man. While the group tried to keep it immobile by blocking its mouth and tail, the anaconda managed to shake off its hunters and even bit one of them. Faced with such a threat, the group preferred to leave the place before ending up in a much worse situation. Number 2. Desperation. Imagine you're with a friend in the middle of the jungle or enjoying the views of a swamp, and then a huge creature suddenly emerges and drags you down to the depths. What would you do? Would you go out to look for him? Would you try to help him? These are the questions that crossed the minds of a couple of friends who found themselves involved in a typical situation in the middle of the jungle. A giant anaconda emerged from the bottom of a muddy river and wrapped itself around the leg of one of the men. It then pulled him so hard that it plunged him into the depths of the lake. Once in its domain, the anaconda began to strangle him and coil around his body. Death was assured, but the man's companion jumped into the mud to rescue him. However, it wasn't an easy task. The struggle was intense and desperate. The longer it took to undo the knots in which his companion has wrapped, fewer were the chances of freeing him. The anaconda was twisting with all its strength around his body and neck. Little by little, it was crushing them with the mechanical pressure that anacondas have perfected over thousands of years of evolution. Fortunately, both men managed to overcome the anaconda's strength and come out of this experience well. They surely felt that these few minutes lasted for a lifetime, and they will probably never visit such a beautiful and dangerous area again. Number 1. The Anaconda Hunt. Although many people prefer to keep a respectable distance between them and anacondas, there are some who dare to go to their homes to hunt them. For them, people's safety always comes first no matter what the consequences are. And that's why they prefer to risk everything to catch these beasts of the animal kingdom. Precisely for this reason, it isn't uncommon to find videos like the one made by a group of people on the internet. The images clearly show a group of men with one goal: catching a giant anaconda. They are armed with machetes and ropes, as well as commendable courage, but that isn't enough to bend the will of a creature like this. The anaconda emerges from its burrow and doesn't wait to pounce on its unwanted guests. In just a few seconds, it's already on top of one of them, who avoids the lethal bite and manages to escape its attack, although this isn't enough to stun the anaconda. This beast squirms and avoids any harm or attempt to capture it. Its fierce nature makes everyone fear it deeply and convinces them of leaving the area. At the end of the day, it's better to accept defeat than to suffer a lethal bite that ends your life, don't you think? Zone 0. Some videos that circulate on the internet can sometimes paralyze us with terror, and if you got here because of this image, it's time for you to know its story. At first glance, it appears to be an impressive attack by a giant anaconda. Of course, the image is monstrous, something never seen before, but unfortunately, it's a very popular sculpture that has shaken social networks in recent months. The piece is a work of art that attempts to portray nature in its purest state. The purpose of this piece is to show the animal kingdom much closer than we think, and to remind us that at any moment we could suffer for not respecting the diversity of our planet. Of course, this is a little joke and we hope you can forgive us. But if you'd really like to see anacondas, monstrous creatures, and animals that are impossible to explain, we can fix that in an instant. Join us in the following videos and we promise you'll discover with your own eyes just how brutal nature can be. Are you up for the challenge? Then check out these videos.